FM, sounding good all.
Kafu tourism nechikafu muri kupanzwisisa here ipapo tichatsanangurirwa. My guest tonight is Minister of Tourism and Hospitality Industry, Honorable Barbara Rwodzi. Welcome to STIFM, Honorable.
Thank you very much for having me.
This is your first time on the STIFM. Thank you for gracing us.
Thank you very much for inviting me too.
All right. To you, our valued listeners, please feel free to join the discussion on our WhatsApp platform 0772162651. We are also streaming live on our Facebook page. Share your thoughts on the upcoming regional forum and how you think this can help our tourism as well as benefiting local communities. So, Honorable Minister, let's get into it. Let's talk food, gastronomy. Can you unpack what the UN Regional Forum on Gastronomy for Tourism in Africa, what is it all about?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So, UN Tourism Forum on Gastronomy in Africa is all about food and drink, how it is an aspect of tourism, how food and drink can influence the travel of people from one place to another, whether it's domestic traveling or it's international traveling or regional traveling. Food has an influence on tourism. So UN tourism is promoting this aspect of tourism to spread across the world, and we are very happy as Zimbabwe that we are hosting the first ever forum on gastronomy, on food tourism. Let me simplify and say that, because gastronomy means gastro, that's eating and that's stomach, and it all speaks to food and drink. So this is the first ever forum that is happening in Africa, more so in Zimbabwe and in our tourism city, Victoria Falls. I would like to start by thanking Her Excellency, the First Lady of this country of Zimbabwe, who started this just as a simple initiative, yet it would grow big to where we are right now today. She started with going to the Madzimaye Madzimambo, wives of the chiefs, to say, let's go back to our culture, let's go back to our eating. It has different benefits, which is more about health, eating our own food. Kudya kwekwedu kwekuno kuZimbabwe tinoziva kuti vanhu vakare vaitogara makore, kurarama makore akawanda vasina kana zvirwere zvavaiwanza kuwana mukurarama kwavo nekuda kwekudya chikafu chekwedu, ndo zvavakatanga nazvo. And then, because she's the patron in the Ministry of Tourism and Hospitality Industry, it then started the trajectory of gastronomy tourism until where we are now.
Maziviro edu tichingokura taingoziva tourism kuri kuti kundoshanyira nzvimbo, kuenda kumahotera ari kumaresorts, ko chikafu chakazopinda papi apa.
Right. Saka UN tourism pachayo nekuda kwekuti vanoda kuti this sector or this industry yetourism irambe ichienderera mberi, yavanodaidza kuti sustainability. Vakaona zvakasiyana siyana zviri mukufamba kwevanhu. So pamunofamba imimi mukashanya, tongoti mabva pano maenda kwaMutare, kana kuti mabva pano maenda kana kuHighfields, kana kuti maenda kuBorodhi, kutoshanya ikoko, mabva panzvimbo yenyu, zvikuru sei mukazonorara ikoko. Vakatarisa zviri mukati mekufamba kwemunhu nekwanosvika nezvinozonoitika ikoko, besides kuti for example mafambira rufu, kana kuti mafambira business, kana kuti mashanyira mai nababa vari ikoko, kana mukoma kana hanzvadzi kana hama kana shamwari. Pane zvinotofanira kuitika kana munhu ashanya. Kusvika ikoko ndezvimwe zvacho. Kana mazosvika mazodyei, because muchadya, muchanwei, munomwa mvura chete here, munomwa madrinks here, munomwa doro here, izvozvo zvese. Pamunorara zviri mukati metourism. Chamunodya kubva muchibuda mumba menyu kana muno muofisi menyu, maakuti maakufamba rwendo rwenyu, mukatenga iri takeaway, mukatenga pari parestaurant, matova mutourism. Mukanosvika kuti pandiri kurara ndeapapa, whether muloji kana kuti kumba kwamai venyu, mai venyu pavanokutambira ipaipai vari kutotambira mutouristi wavo auya kumba kwavo. Zvavachakubikirai izvozvo zvikakunakirai, maakutonoudza mumwe munhu kuti kwedu kunobikwa zvinonaka. Mukadzoka kuno kuHarare makutotaura nyaya inoita kuti uyati ngatichiendei katinodya zvawakataura zvezvi. So food, which is the gastronomy aspect of it, is in the tourism. Pekurara is in the tourism, the travel. That's why isusu vanhu vetourism tichiita concern about how people, yet not accessibility. Vanhu vosvika sei kwatati uku kwakanaka kuti vashanyi. Kune ndege here, kunosvikwa nendege, kunosvika nemotikari, kunosvikwa nebhazi here. Ko zvakaita kure kudai tadii kuchiona kuti kure ikokoko kukaribha ikoko kwadi kuchita airport. Sezvatiri kutaura kwaMutare iko zvino izvi ndo nhau dzatiri kushanda neveMinistry of Transport kuti kwaMutare kwakuda airport because kune zvinoonekwa ko nezviri ikoko zvinoita kuti vashanyi vawande. Saka mukufamba kwavo itourism. Kana vasvika ikoko vachanorara pai, kana vasvika ikoko vachadyei zve, kana vasvika ikoko chichaita kuti vanakidzwe zvinozoita kuti vadzokezve chii. Ndo ma-excursions ari ikoko, ma-activities achaitwa ikoko, kune vanoimba zvinonakidza here, kune vanotamba zvinonakidza here, mese mukati imomo tiri mutourism. Saka gastronomy kudya nekunwa zvinonakidza vashanyi.
The UN Forum on Gastronomy, it seeks to promote and showcase local foods and cuisine. What is the significance of this forum and how is it going to benefit local tourism?
All right, the significance of this forum is more to promote food of any country zvichibatanidzwa netourism. Significance yayo ndeyekuti isusu kuno kwedu kuZimbabwe ndambotanga ndataura kuti kuAfrica hasisati zvamboitika. So for us as Zimbabweans, or as Zimbabwe tourism, we are the first to be known for gastronomy. Though there are other countries that have been pamsoro pedu about their food, like Nigeria, like Ghana, Kenya, Ethiopia, and so forth. But kuwisa forum iyi muno tichidana kukokera nyika dzese dzemuno muAfrica kuuya kuVictoria Falls, there is an impact on our tourism industry, which is what we call international tourism. Kuri kuuya vakasiyana siyana. Tatoona pama registration tukutarisa every day. We have people coming from the US, we have people coming from UK, people from Italy, people from Nicaragua. They are coming for this gastro. So it invites, in essence, you know how food brings people together. So it is inviting international, regional, and our domestic, because pariku register kuya ku forum uko pane vamwe vedu vemuno vari kufanira kunge vachipinda muforum, pane vamwe vemuregion muSADC vari kupinda muforum, but the rest of Africa is coming and it has gone beyond. So definitely the forum itself is a MICE tourism. The way we describe it, it's meetings, incentives, and bringing people together for a meeting, a big meeting. Just that only has promoted, and it is going to have a huge impact on the GDP of Victoria Falls, of our country, the nation, of course, in the industry of tourism, but more so when we are speaking of devolution, it's the devolution, the GDP of Victoria Falls that is going to be promoted during these days that we are going to host this as well. The impact it has on our people domestically, as you rightly asked, is to show them that Zimbabwean cuisine, chikafu chedu icho chichi, majuru edu iwai, nekuti ndo atakataridza kwese kwataifamba naFirst Lady, kwavaidaidzwa First Lady, vachinoitwa honored nebasa ravakatanga kuita. Hatiende nechimwe chikafu, tinoenda nemajuru edu, tinoenda nemadore edu, nematemba edu, nenhopi edu, nesadza remhunga, ndo ratinonoshowcasa toseva veko kuti ndo zvekwedu kana mukauya kwedu. So ko isusu vashanyi vari muno kana tikaenda even kudzimba dzana mai vedu as visiting friends and family, tikaenda kuenda kumabasa kunzi George atumwa kubasa kumasvingo, uri kunotsvaga chikafu chipi wasvika ikoko. Zvaita kuti vanhu vekwedu vazive kuti kudya kwekwedu kunokosha, kwatokosheswa neUnited Nations. Kwaonekwa kuti mashandiro ataita ipapapa through our patron vanga vachingoti kwezva vachitidhonza vachiti ratidzai kani pasi rese kuti kudya kwekuZimbabwe kunodai. Waini yemuZimbabwe chaiyo chaiyo inomwiwa ichinakawo kutofananawo newaini yekuSpain, kufananawo newaini yekuFrance, izvozvo chete zvichaita kuti isu sezimbabweans to appreciate kudya kwekwedu, kutoziva kuti kana ndikashanya, I'm sure you are seeing it, George, these days, kunyanya vanhurume kutoti unzi waguta hanti unenge wadya gango naye mwanangu. Haribikwe gango zvakanaka nemumwe munhu ari kune imwe nyika kudarika kwemunhu ari muzimbabwe, because tisitoziva how to mix nyama nemuriwo wegreen nemaonion nematomatoes, tozvibika zvinoita kuti munhu abvunze kuti kubika kwekupi. Chero ivo vachizvibika kwavo kungava kuzambia kana kumalawi kana kune imwe nyika, hazvizombofi zvakanaka sekunaka kwekwedu. So the appreciation of our own food is going to make us look good to the domestic tourist, and also the importance yokuziva kuti mukushanya kwatinotodya ipo paya, there's an importance in the aspect of tourism, when you eat, when you sleep, when you drink, and when you travel as well. So we are happy about that.
Ndandisina kunzwa kuti takasarudzwa sei zvi zvakaitika kuti tizonzi Zimbabwe itai musangano uyu.
Okay, so I'll repeat myself. I would want to thank Her Excellency, the First Lady of Zimbabwe, Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa, who is the patron in the Ministry of Tourism and Hospitality Industry. So Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa, in 2019, she started a program, Yatinoti Traditional Cookout Competitions, where she was bringing communities. She started with communities in various provinces, competing on cooking our own foods. Her objective was more to bring people back to the roots, back to our food, back to our originality, to our identity, for the benefits of health and for the benefit of tourism, in gastronomy, tourism context. She ran this competition for 4 years, from 2019 to 2022. In 2023, the United Nations Tourism noticed what the First Lady has been doing, because they were following, I'm sure, through social media and the reports that we also gave United Nations as a country, and they noticed what the First Lady was doing. And being the first ever First Lady in Africa to take her own country's food at a level of gastronomy tourism. So in 2023, they sent their representatives to be present and witness the regional competition. She had also gone higher with a program and invited countries in the SADC region. That's when UN Tourism said, tofana umbononyaso ongorora. And they came to Zimbabwe, in Great Zimbabwe, and they saw what it was about at close range, and interviewed the First Lady, interviewed the Minister of Tourism, then Honorable Mangaliso Ndlovu, and they understood where she wanted to take Zimbabwean food. In return, in November, they invited her to the World Gastronomy Tourism Forum, because there are world forums. This one is a continental that we are starting with. There are world forums. So they invited her to Spain, in San Sebastian, where they said, we are rewarding you for the work that you have done for Africa, because nobody in Africa has taken their African food to this level. You were the first one. So come to Spain so that we reward you. Mind upa wakaenda ku Spain wakaenda nesu. It was when I was already, I think, a month or two, the Minister of Tourism. We accompanied her with our team, and she was rewarded in front of the whole world. Ministers of tourism, many of them, and to say, this is the first ever First Lady to take African food to another level from Zimbabwe. At that forum, that's when UN Tourism decided that it's now time for us to take the Gastronomy Forum to Africa for the first time. So in honor, as part of kuva reward kwavakaita, vakavapa zvipo zvavakavapa pamberi pe World SA, my Ministers of Tourism. Vakamba vati, as part of honoring you, now we are going to host, together with government of Zimbabwe, if it's acceptable by the government, we are going to host the first ever Gastronomy Forum for Africa in Zimbabwe, in Victoria Falls. Dokuya kwayakaita this Gastronomy Forum.
Thank you so much. For those who have just joined us, the program is State of Affairs here on Star FM, and we are discussing the forthcoming UN Regional Forum on Gastronomy for Africa. It's running from the 26th to the 28th of July at Victoria Falls. Be there and witness Africa coming together to tickle the taste buds. But we are also talking about the forthcoming SADC summit, and it is my honor that we have tourism and hospitality industry minister, Honorable Barbara Rwodzi, joining us to talk about tourism and also the preparations for the SADC summit and what are we expecting in terms of preparations from a tourist point of view, because we will be expecting a lot of guests for the gastronomy tourism for Africa as well as the SADC summit. Now, Minister, I understand you also mentioned it that you are monitoring the people who are registering for the gastronomy, the food tourism. I keep on saying gastronomy. Yeah, it sounds sophisticated, but really we are talking about
It's
food,
just food, yeah.
tourism. Who are some of the high-profile guests, delegates that we are expecting to grace this historic event? And how many delegates are we looking at here who are going to be attending from the African countries?
Okay, so to start with, let me say for us as Zimbabwe government, it's a huge achievement that we want to celebrate. The achievement that we had gained through the First Lady. So we are celebrating her on the 26th, the first day of the forum. We will be starting with an official event that will be graced by His Excellency the President of Zimbabwe, and other First Ladies are coming, which are high-profile delegates. We have the Secretary General of United Nations Tourism, who is also coming with the whole of his bureau, the Presidium of United Nations Tourism. They will be here in the country for this event. We also have so far about 13 African ministers who have confirmed that, so they are registering slowly. We are expecting about 20 ministers, but now we are on 13 who will be coming. But we have deputy ministers as well who will be representing their ministers. We also have permanent secretaries who will be representing their ministers for those who are not able to be coming. So the number is increasing every day, and this is the high profile. But on the 26th, the first day, we are expecting every Zimbabwean to be there for our local domestic tourism promotion. It's open for the official event that the president will be opening. And then in the afternoon, after lunch, that's when we will be starting the United Nations, the actual United Nations forum, whereby the ministers of tourism and their dignitaries and their officials will now be getting into business or discussions about how Africa can take this initiative further and how we should promote our food in Africa. You know, we are discouraged to say, if you see a Japanese or a Chinese coming into your country, you direct them to a Japanese restaurant or to a Chinese restaurant. They must go there as a third choice. They must first eat our Zimbabwean food, or first eat Malawian food, first eat Kenyan food, Ethiopian food, Tunisia, all that. So we are going to have this big discussion starting from the 26th in the afternoon. And so far, well, it's in its own nature, this forum does not take huge numbers. So we are actually saying to United Nations, we have a lot of people now who want to register, but the portal is now full. They can't get registered because there's a limited number to that for the actual forum for United Nations. But otherwise, for the official opening, anyone is open. We are expecting more than 10,000 people to be gathered for the official opening of the event.
I also see an opportunity here, Minister, in terms of bringing together the continent, the role that diplomacy plays here through this tourism. Your comments on that?
Yeah. We have a lot of ambassadors who will be coming. Sorry, I'd forgotten to mention that. I think we have about 15 ambassadors who have registered, and the interesting part, we have international big countries, Nicaragua, and I'm sure they are also following what their people are doing to register to come on this to this forum. So we have ambassadors who are coming. Like I said, food is a unifier. It brings people together. So ambassadors are interested in this. and other people who are not ambassadors but they are diplomats, they are registering to be a part of it. Some are not because they know that the bigger event is the official opening, that the president will be there, but they're telling us that they're, in fact, that's what we are now telling people, that the portal is now full, but you can come to the big event, which is on the morning of the 26th to the afternoon. So we have a lot of diplomats who are coming. We actually have within our clusters, as the Minister of Tourism and Hospitality Industry in the country, we had a strategy that we have put in place now of having to cluster the sector itself, so that you will understand what exactly we mean by gastronomy tourism. What exactly do we mean about sports tourism? What exactly do we mean when we say rural tourism, business tourism, the mice that I spoke about, right? Medical tourism. So we also have diplomatic tourism, because when diplomats are here for their term that they're staying in the country, be it 4 years, 5 years, 3 years, which is minimum, I think, they are tourists in a way, because they are not in their country, but they have visited this country for the purposes of diplomatic business. So what are they eating in the country? I'm sure you have seen some time in the year where ambassadors were competing to cook Zimbabwean food. And now if you speak to some of those ambassadors, they tell you that I like sadza and hybrids because they are visitors. So they're tired of their own food. If I go to another country right now, to Italy, be it in the Southern America or in Indonesia, Thailand or whatever, I do not want to eat Zimbabwean food because that's where I stay. I eat my own food anytime. I want to eat Italian food. I want to eat Indonesian food. So diplomats drive this gastronomy tourism so well, because that's all they will be doing in the country during their tenure, eating food and drinking, and of course they will be staying in their homes. But the aspect of the aspect of tourism is in what they eat and in what they enjoy in terms of excursions, in terms of activities in the country, and what they do. Are they going for our music? Are they going for our other forms of entertainment, so forth and so on? So those are long-term visitors who are in the country as diplomats.
Tagadzirira here because ndatasa madates apa nhasi 17
Yeah.
mazuva apera hatidi kuti hatizonyadzisa.
Tagadzirira, we are trying hard. We are trying our best as usual. As we speak right now, we have a team on the ground already. I myself and the Deputy Minister will be going over the weekend to be preparing for the rest of the week that will be remaining for us to be preparing to do some preparations. But we think we have done the best that we can. Accommodation wise, yes. Victoria Falls is now becoming smaller than its capacity at the moment, that we can accept that accommodation is a bit of a problem, whereby as we speak right now, a lot of rooms are taken for this forum, and we are trying to see how best we can mitigate. But at least all our international delegates have accommodation. And as well, we have entertainment lined up in the local restaurants, because what we are doing, George, we want to make sure that the people who are coming, whether they are domestic or international, they must have a memorable experience in Victoria Falls. So what are we doing after work? It's very key. Who is inviting who, where? What is there? That's what our team is working on right now in terms of entertainment, and then transportation of the delegates, and food and drink for the delegates, so forth and so on. Kugadzirira kutourism kuwana kuti munhu awana pekurara here, akawana chekudya here, akawana chekunwa here, zvimwe zvese naturally zvinozongoita fall into place. Yeah.
Okay, looking at the long-term impact on local tourism and the economy in general from this summit, this gastronomy, food, tourism, what are we looking at here in terms of the long-term impact?
Okay, so the long-term impact, what UN tourism is doing right now, or let me say the main reason why they are promoting food industry, it's sustainability of tourism. Sustainability of tourism is in different aspects, but the main one and the main reason why even us as a country or as a government, we think it's an anchor, it's because it speaks within its value chain. We have communities in it. That's the big value that it has, and the impact, the huge impact that it has, because chikafu chese George chinorimwa kuti vanhu vazonodya, right? So how do we align ourselves as Minister of Tourism to the vision of the President, whereby he is saying by the year 2030 in Zimbabwe our society must be upper middle income. Hakuna munhu anofanira kunge ari pasazasi achirarama upenyu hwokuti anorara asina kudya. Basic needs. Anotadza kuendesa mwana wake kuchikoro, anotadza kutengerawo mwana wake uniform, anotadza kutenga chingwa mumba. Right now as we speak, George, I'm an MP from the rural areas. We have some people in our communities vanogona kuenda for 2 months asina kudya chingwa, just bread. That's basic. So how are we going to ensure that vanhu ivavo through the vision ya president patinozosvika ku 2030 tinonga isusu seminister of tourism tine vatasumudzirawo kuti vasvike pari kudiwa napresident. So now we are encouraging, we are bringing in modalities whereby we are saying, I think it's also a big conversation at the forum, huge, about communities in the value chain of gastronomy. My restaurants ngavachi partner nema communities, particularly of the marginalized. Who is the marginalized? The ordinary woman, the youth, and those, some of us who are living with disabilities. Toenda tonoti ime michitangai garden panapa. Murestaurant mangu amuchadyiwa zvinhu zvambopfuura kwakawanda wanda. I'm only taking direct from this nutrition garden. Vanhu vangani vacha benefit from this, you know. Zviyo munga zvetiri kutaura nezvazvo, our only traditional foods. And Her Excellency has expanded her vision and her initiative by introducing Agric for She in the rural areas, whereby women are given my inputs, my inputs emunga, my inputs ema sunflower, my inputs ema garden, my seeds, kuti varime. And where else can they make money out of? Kuma markets kwakatozaro, George, it's full. Kumbare, it's a no-go area. Kunevaridzwa. Kuma markets ema different cities, kwatinoti kumisika kuyakwa kwakatozara. Madzimai aya, now we are promoting their food direct to the agro processors, straight from there to our hotels, to our restaurants, and all food outlets. Because vagara vachirima, George, vagara vanhu vanoita magarden kumusha, vagara mayouth anoungana, but the problem all the time is the market. And as Minister of Tourism, we are saying there is market through gastronomy tourism. Rimai zvichaenda kupi zvinoenda apa zvoprocesswa apa. And we are even encouraging kuti through rural industrialization iri kupromotwa napresident, tichitanga kuti tokokera madzimai, tokokera vana vedu vechidiki, mayouth, even vana babawo vamwe, pane vamwe vari pasi, and then persons with disabilities, kuti yenyu industrial hub yavhurwa panapa ndeiyi, zvamarima zvopinda kana zvapinda zvakuenda apa. Rural tourism as well, we are promoting it through that. And with this promotion takreata majobs mangani kubvira pana chabatabadza paanonokohwa tatopedza naye. Vari kuita rural industrialization in the industrial hubs for the food, vaakupindawo ipapo, vaakuwanawo chavo chauviri. Vobva ipapo kana tikakwanisa kuti tiexpande our accommodation ones, and tichichema nyaya accommodation kuVictoria Falls kuti inotishotera. But also iwewe George, right now nevamwe vako muno, how many times have you gone wanzwa kuti nhasi sekuru vashaika unototanga kutaurirana nevamwe vako, hama neshamwari, kuti tinozoenda musi wefuneral, musi weburial. Why is that? Because ukaenda kumusha you are not comfortable kunorara mumba musina magetsi. you are not comfortable kunorara kana kudya chikafu chabikwa hapausiri sure, you are not comfortable kuzogezera kurwizi kana kugezera muchichenja house chekumuchecheche. So isusu we are promoting rural tourism kuti imeme munotadza kuita comfortable. Titakuda kuti muti mukatoenda musha muchada kubuda, let's set up macaravan, let's set up malodges muraini, kuti kana vana George vashaikirwa vanoziva kuti kana tikaenda musha isusu tonofaresu, pane kwatinonorara kuri comfortable, pane chikafu, pane panobikwa zvakanaka. But zvabikwa izvi zvabva kupi? Muraini, mugarden, nutritional garden iyai. Achabika ndiani ari kubhadharwa, achasevha vanhu panzvimbo ipapo ndiani atobhadharwa, achasuka ndiro ndiani. Vanhu vese ava vachatadza here kudya chingwa. Ndo objective ina president, so that by 2030 our nation, our economy, our society haina vanhu varombo vekupedzisira, and our economy inenge ichikwirirawo, because for as long as people have jobs, then the disposable income increases within the society. Poverty yatoalleviatwa. So isusu as tourism, gastronomy tourism is a very, very big avenue ichaita kuti tibude pamuono wapresident wa2030, nekuteta kutaura kuti isusu takapromota ava tikabatsira ava tikabatsira ava tikabatsira the value chain. Because like I said when we started, George, anything to do with food. Right now when you go out there, if you go pa chicken inn, uri tourism. Chicken inn inoregister nesu kuti vaoperate because it's food. Ukati wauda kuenda restaurant outside, a standalone restaurant, uri tourism. Ukaenda motel, ukanodya imomo, uri tourism. Ukaenda lodge, uri tourism. Zvawadya nekunwa ipapo, it's all tourism. So how can we not be able to have a huge impact on our society through gastronomy tourism? That's what we are promoting, and that's the direction that Africa is taking, as well as the rest of the world.
Ndofunga zvingafadza kunzvimbo kunohavhestwa macimbi vange vachicomplaina kuti isusu tongoenda tongondohavhesta hapana chiri kusara mucommunity imomo. Vamwe vanotozouraya miti dzacho.
Precisely so. Precisely so. Macimbi anodyiwa, akadyiwa taenda na first lady kuSpain Sagarese, and even when we went beginning of the year to Germany, they loved macimbi. But who is benefiting from macimbi aenda ku Germany? That's the most important. So mamwe achi-export, but locally what are we doing? Ikoko kulupani kunowanikwa macimbi. We need to open a tourism facility there in Lupani. We need to promote. So the tourism facilities around in that area, in Cholocho, in Lupani, where we get a lot of macimbi, they must sell the product macimbi in their facilities. Kuvanu ava vanononga macimbi mumiti umu. Sustainability yazvona ndeyei kuti miti irambe ichiproduce more macimbi and macimbi. That's what we are talking about, George, when we speak about sustainable tourism.
I'm also looking at opportunities for local chefs, restaurants, food vendors, the whole network from this particular forum that we are going to be hosting. What are some of the opportunities which are there for them?
They're big. Most of the chefs are the ones that are registered to the actual forum, the official forum itself, where they will learn a lot. Waste management of food. UN tourism is educating the whole world what we can do with the waste for food. How can we manage the waste for food? How do you embrace? Because you appreciate, George, or you understand that most of our chefs over the past years, many years, they thought kubika huku brela in different ways, whether it's deboned, whether they have roasted it, whether they've done this, and say cannot fish and chicken and what. It's not our food. Which fish are you selling? Which fish are you talking about? Brimre duri and all fish in magwaya nemiramba. But mashefe edu mashinji vakapinzwa mazviri. They think twice on how to cook that. So now the education that they are going to get through this forum is more about appreciating their local food and be the best chef who can cook Zimbabwean food. There is no chef who is in Zimbabwe who can cook French food more than the French chef. So there's an appreciation of your own food, your appreciation of your methodology of cooking, your appreciation of, the value chain of your food that you as a chef then cook wherever that you're working. Chikafu chabva kupichi chauri kuti ndagona kubika. So there's a whole huge impact on the chefs, on the education aspect. What do we do with food kana chasara? How do we save our food? How do we preserve? But my communities toshanda now say, I'm sure you've seen so many documentaries where chefs go down in the community kumusha kunotsvaga chikafu chake chaanoda kubika. But those are the most popular chefs where people ask, how do you cook your food? Where do you get this food? And they take pride in saying, madora ewaya kana abikwa, for example, na chef azviendera kulupani ane vanhu vake vanomusupply madora umabika in a certain manner that they taste different from madora achabikwa kune imwe nyika or from another place. That makes the chef unique. So it's all a whole broad spectrum about cooking the food from the farm to the market to the table and to the consumer. That's what they all get.
We were talking about I think the idea has been there that there must be a gastronomy school. Where are we with that?
Actually, I was going to get to the George.
Yes.
That gastronomy academy, that is also for the first time in Africa. We don't have, across in Africa, we don't have any UN tourism school for gastronomy. It's starting in Zimbabwe. It's another award that our First Lady was given by UN Tourism there at Saint Sebastian in Spain. So she was given the first forum for Africa, which is this one that and to build the first Africa gastronomy school in Victoria Falls in Africa. It was in honor of Her Excellence. So that zvavakatanga zvichioneka kuenda kumberi. Because Ivo as a person, it's a vision that she had, an initiative that she had. But how do we take it further for sustainability of gastronomy tourism? School. This is why this year, George, in 2024, our competitions for traditional cookout. So probably let me let you know that First Lady handed over this program to the Minister of Tourism and Hospitality in 2022. But of course, we always go back to her for ideas. This year, she encouraged us to say, now bring in the higher and tertiary education, our students who are in culinary. So you said something about being complicated. So some people call it culinary tourism because that's pronunciation is different. Others say culinary, others say culinary tourism. Yeah, but it's all food. But we have our students who are studying culinary tourism right now or gastronomy tourism right now. So she said, now take our children on board so that titogara tavazivisa kuti chikoro chegastronomy chaichoka kutanga kudzidza nezvekwako wozvibika in a unique way that makes people come. You know how people fly and drive and go through the tunnel to France from the surrounding countries, or they go to France for his food because French chefs cook their food uniquely and their wines, right? So so we took them on board through Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education. They are a key partner that we are working with. We've been working with this year, and it has come out so well. And students came on board. They had their own competition, and we had a competition for the chefs. Now it's because we knew that we have this gastronomy forum coming, so we were channeling it to and focusing to the forum coming. But the impact that we saw or that we gained from running food competitions, traditional cookout competitions with students on board and with chefs on board, together with the communities, is a unifier. And it has spread that eating our own food is the best way to go. And our own students will know that by the time they go kukubasa, anofanira kuti achitodzidzisa achitonoita popular paari kunoshanda nekugona kwake kubika Zimbabwean traditional cuisine.
We could go on and on talking
I
about
know.
this topic. For those who have just joined us, the program is State of Affairs, and we are discussing the forthcoming UN Regional Forum on Gastronomy for Africa, as well as the forthcoming SADC summit. I know my time is limited. We could go on and on and on talking. Let's talk a bit about the SADC now,
Okay.
in terms of accommodation preparations for the 44th SADC summit. Heads of state and government. There will be a business forum first, industrialization
Industrialization.
week. You were saying Vic Falls has no accommodation. Do we have accommodation in Harare for all the delegates who are coming for the two events, the industrialization week and the summit itself?
Okay, for Harare, actually, it's our capital city. And because of being the capital city, we have many hotels in Harare, more than anywhere else in the country. We have many lodges in Harare, more than anywhere else. Many Airbnbs, bed and breakfasts, so forth. So yes, accommodation is good, is looking good for the SADC summit. All our delegates are accommodated thus far, and particularly accommodation for our VVIPs. We actually have two options for them right now as we speak. All our hotels that are going to accommodate the VVIPs are Rainbow, the RTG group. They're also accommodating 11 of them, and we have 8 who can be accommodated at the Hyatt Regions, the Mikus as well. 2 of them can be accommodated at Crown Plaza as well. However, the government has started the construction of the villas closer to the new parliament where the SADC summit would be taking place. And those villas, we are very sure that by the time the SADC summit starts, they will be complete. However, other works for the landscapes, so forth and so on, may not be up to the standard that we may want, because we've been waiting for materials that have been coming through to make sure that when all the materials are on the ground and the constructors are doing their job, then we start the landscaping work. But we are very sure that the 12 of the 18 villas will be ready, and they can be used as it's a choice. Either can be used as accommodation or as holding rooms for the heads of states. But otherwise, if the landscaping is not up to the standard that we want, all these hotels are ready now for the heads of states who will be staying over for the summit. We are good on that. Yes.
I know I was following you in the Senate, I think it's 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
when you were talking about the preparations and the opportunities, and saying your ministry is also sharpened to take advantage of this summit and promote brand Zimbabwe. Where are we in terms of promoting local tourism around this summit and the industrialization week?
Okay, so our Zimbabwe tourism, I told you, George Patatanga, kuti tikangoona pangounganiwa isusi vanhu vetourism totofanira kusvika ipapo. We have so much material that we'll be giving to the delegate that speaks to our tourism activities in the country, but more so tourism activities around Harare. Because when people are experiencing, or during the summit, you have different times that you want to get in the session, and sometimes that you want to be relaxing, and sometimes that you want to just go out. So we have all that information that we're putting together. We are working very hard together with the Ministry of Information, because we serve the same purpose about branding our country and making it look good. And we have brought together our operators through their motherboard, Zimbabwe Tourism Business Council. We have put them together to say, give us as much information as you can, particularly those who are around in Harare, the operators. That's the time to promote our businesses, their businesses, to say, we will be telling delegates that if you think of relaxing, you can go to Wild is Life. You can go to the view, to the dam at Chikurubi. You can go to Lions Den, you can go to Mazowe, you can, we want the delegates to leave as much money as they can. What can I do? Some people, so the actual summit may be finishing, or the industrialization meetings. Let's say the meeting is finished at 4 or 5 p.m. Where do I go? We want to be ready with that information. So our ZTA team will be at strategic points during these summits. Vachiparidza shoko kuti let's go out tonight. We have a jazz band somewhere. We've encouraged even our artists to say this is the time to have your shows in restaurants, in other places. We really would have wanted to have a big show in the city, so that people have a memorable experience. But our logistics did not go quite well. But what's there tonight? It's us who has to speak to that. What do you want to eat tonight? There's a Zimbabwean restaurant that will give you a good experience. But also, if they say, no, I'm looking for seafood, where can they go? I want to watch a movie, where can they go? I want to listen to good music, so it's all those things that we are doing in preparation of SADC Summit, in terms of food, in terms of excursions and activities that our visitors, our tourists can do.
5 minutes to go, Minister. I'm looking at other issues. The HICC, I saw something happening there. Refurbishment. How far have we gone?
Yes, the Rainbow Towers. All these rooms that I was talking about, it's new refurbishment. They are doing a great job if you go there. As well as the HICC, the whole of it now, they are refurbishing it. And they are 90%, over 90% to finishing the part that will be used by the industrialization week, during the industrialization week, as well as all the rooms that will be used during the summit itself, particularly those for the VVIPs. Same as Hyatt Regents, they are 100% complete for the rooms that will be used there as well. And Crown Plaza, the refurbishment of the presidential suites there. So the this SADC Summit has done us a favor as the tourism industry, because unongoza pamba panouya vaenzi kazhinji panochinjwa zvakawanda. Saka isusu tachinjirwa mahotera edu ava matsva, akuratidzika zvakawanda. Even the painting is going on at Rainbow Towers there, and you have seen what Hyatt Regents has done as well. But they have an ongoing refurbishment that will be carrying on even after SADC Summit, both hotels, and of course Crown Plaza. We are just here to promote and to support our operators. So it's the time. And even the small players in the industry, accommodation industry, they are also busy with, trying to sprucing up their places, trying to make them look good. So it's the time that our operators are reinvesting in their facilities to make sure that they look good for the visitors. Yeah.
Okay, my second last question. We've touched on SADC, we've touched on the gastronomy for tourism in Africa. 2025, the target, US $5 billion industry for tourism. Are you upbeat that you'll be able to make it?
Very much so, George, very much so, because we declared that in 2020. So it's an accumulation from 2020 to 2025. Right now, as we speak, George, the tourism sector, through accommodation and food only. This is why food is very important in tourism, and this is why we have that cluster that promotes food. Through accommodation and food only, the tourism industry is on top for the first 6 months of the year, with a 12% contribution to the country's GDP from January to June. So that speaks volumes about the contribution to the 5 billion. So it's from 2020, how much have we accumulated in 2020, in 2021, in 2022, and what have we recorded, and have we been doing it accurately? This is what we are correcting as the ministry. Have we been doing it accurately? We say we are not going back to rewind and say, no, 2022 it wasn't recorded properly. But from 2023, when we became a standalone ministry, how much have we accumulated to the GDP and in terms of the actual figures, and how much are we going to accumulate in 2024 and in 2025. What has not been done? There is a lot. You know what I was telling you about what is tourism. How much has been contributed by food? How much has been contributed by accommodation? How much has been contributed by even through entertainment? How much, are people eating when they go for those shows? It speaks to tourism, How much are people eating when they travel in groups? It speaks to the numbers. How many people are landing in the country internationally? That's international tourism. How many people are landing in the country? And how much are they spending per day when they come in the country? Domestically, what do we call tourism? Because you may agree with me that a number of us were not understanding that when you travel over kunokwenda kumusha kunoshanyira vanambuya you're a tourist. But what are you contributing? Zvizvaitika ikoko for 2 nights the warara kumusha, that contributes to the tourism sector. So we are very upbeat. We are going to make it for the $5 billion contribution to the GDP.
All the best on that one. Finally, I think this conversation has been ongoing for a while. Vamwe vari kuti isusu local tourist kunotidhurira kuenda kuma-resorts uku. Zviri kugadziriswa here ipapo?
Yes, so we are introducing the amendment of the tourism bill. Zvinhu zvese zvinonetsa George zvinongogadzirwa nemutemo. Mutemo watinawo our act chapter 14.20 ukanoverenga zvakanaka hapana paunonyatsokumanikidza maoperators edu kuti aiwa mutengo wechakati unofanira kuita chakati. So in the tourism industry we speak of grading. Even kurestaurant kunotaurwa kuti it's a 1-star restaurant, it's a 1-star lodge, it's a 1-star hotel, it's a one. So our grading system has not been working well. We take a blame as the government to say our grading system yanga isina kunyatsobatwa zvakanaka kumutemo. Now ndokwatakunoita ma-amendments nema-standards, right? Munhu anofanira kuenda kuVictoria Falls achiziva kuti kana ndikabhuka this hotel it's a 3-star hotel and mari yandiri kubhadhara inoenderana ne-international prices. 3-star hotel inoita mari kuSouth Africa, inoita mari kuKenya, inoita mari kana ndiri kuZambia, inoita mari kana ndiri kuEngland and so forth. Half the time when you compare the prices they don't really differ. But at the moment, in our market, the prices are way too different from the rest of the markets in the world. So we can only regularize that through the law. But we are not saying, pana panofanoita mari yakati, pano, but we're just taking it the way the international standards are. To say, kana hotel yangu yakamira yakadai, iyi 1-star, iyi 2-star, iyi 3-star, iyi 4-star, iyi 5-star, iyi 7-star. Zvinochargewa mari for a double room mu7-star, zvinochargewa mari mu5 mu4 zvichienda zvakadaro. Zvinenge zvaakungozikanwa tikazokuonai muchicharjawo zvisingafaniri maane mhosva. So we are correcting that through the amendment of the tourism bill.
Good news there. Thank you so much, Minister.
And we want George kuti vanhu vekwedu ndivo ngavatange vaziva Zimbabwe yavo.
Ndizvo.
Yeah, vafambe vatravel as much as possible. Even zvetiri kuzama kuda kuita zviya kuti vanhu vese vanokwanisa kubhadhara zvavo mbijana kuti iwo George ungoti nemhuri yako mamboendawo kuManapus. Number 1, accessibility kusvika kuManapus muikwanisewo, and kana masvika ikoko mukwanisewo kutenga zvekudya nepekurara pakanaka. That's our mandate and our job as the ministry to facilitate for the tourists. And also
final words. Yes. Final words to Zimbabweans in terms of your mandate, tourism mandate.
Okay, so as Minister of Tourism and Hospitality Industry, we are here for you, all the Zimbabweans. We would want, as always and as ever, to promote our domestic tourism as much as possible. And we want more of Zimbabweans traveling in their country more than anyone else in the world. So come for any questions, come for any help, come for any information that you want from us. We are trying by all means that Zimbabwe brand Zimbabwe goes and fly, not just to the international, but to you as well, and understand the products that we have, the landscapes that we have, our great Zimbabwe, our Victoria Falls, and our food, more so for our food, and anything that we can enjoy in our own country. And we understand that accessibility and affordability is key for you, and we are working to make sure that any Zimbabwean who so wishes to travel and enjoy excursions in their own country can do that at a reasonable price. I thank you.
Thank you so much. We've been discussing the forthcoming first ever UN Regional Forum on Gastronomy Tourism for Africa, as well as the 44th SADC Summit to be held in August. And we had our special guest, Tourism and Hospitality Industry Minister, Barbara Rwodzi, talking to us about the forthcoming UN Gastronomy Forum, as well as the SADC preparations from a tourist point of view. It is important for Zimbabwe to use this rare opportunity to propel tourism for economic development, as well as marketing brand Zimbabwe. Thank you so much, Minister, for coming through.
Thank you. Thank you, George. Thank you very much for having me.
Also, a big thanks to the producers of the show, Norman Muchemwa and Selina Nyamangara. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Join me again next time on your favorite show, State of Affairs. And coming up next is Sungura Wednesday. My name is George Msumba, and it's good night.
You've been listening to